Hi, this is Unblurred Theories, and today we're going over one of the most recent conspiracy theories that I've been told about. I'm not exactly sure how to start this, but here you go. Here are some of the events that happen in Bohemian Grove, California. These men sit and meet in the woods. Here is the gathering that they do. Rituals and sacrifices, human sacrifices, have been one of the most talked about things that people have been doing there. These are some of the people that attend. Charles B. Johnson, who is worth $6.1 billion, and his son attend Bohemian Grove. This is Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan meeting in Bohemian Grove. Again, only men are allowed here, and over the age of 21. This is one of the pictures of leaked footage from Bohemian Grove. I'm not exactly sure when it starts. I'm not exactly sure when it's from. But here's one of the other pictures I have found. I found this off of Reddit of somebody wanting to compare the owl to Baal, which is a more recently discovered figure that the elites and celebrities may or may not worship and do sacrifices to. I don't think that it looks like the statues, but Baal is mentioned in the Bible and in multiple historical articles. Baal means owner, lord, or husband in Northwest Semitic languages. The deity represented fertility and agriculture, widely worshipped in the ancient Middle East. Often referred to as Lord, Baal was considered the king of gods. In the Bible, Baal was the primary rival to Yahweh, tempting the Israelites away from their faith. This is from a news article of the statue of Baal being burned in Iran. This statue has the Israel flag, Trump, and the American flag under it. Again, remember that Baal led the Israelites away from God's faith. This is another conspiracy theory, the black cube of Saturn, and how they're all around religious sites of the world. But then again, think of another company who has the name Black in it, BlackRock. They own almost everything in the United States. Here is a post from Reddit that I thought was really, really eye-opening. This black rock or black cube shows up in more places than I've ever seen before and I ever realized. It shows up in the more religious sites of the world. But I've never questioned myself on why it appears in so many places. Think about putting yourself in a 3-dimensional box. If you had a box big enough, you could climb inside and shut the lid. How would that feel? It might be entertaining, but as time goes on, it'll be claustrophobic. You'll become, feeling confined, and you'll feel limited in that big box. Remember that feeling of confinement as we go on. We often think of the fourth dimension as time, a spatial dimension that appears in our reality as change that occurs over time. But from a fourth dimensional perspective, each of these time-based changes would be visible all at once as a single image. So you can think of the cube as a representation of time as well. As we talk about confinement and limitation, it's beginning to sound a bit like the Greek titan Kronos, who was later syncretized with the Roman god Saturn, who ruled over both time and agriculture, with the latter serving as a prime example of change over time. The story goes that Kronos ate his own children out of fear of a prophecy that one of his offspring would overthrow him one day, a clear indicator of the potential of him to be cruel and unforgiving. It is no wonder, then, why ancient astronomers would associate the furthest planet that they could see with the naked eye with Saturn, the god of time. It is the dimmest planet in the night sky, representing the edge of the observable universe, hinting at its limiting nature. Its slow, methodical orbit of 29.5 years lines it up nicely with the human lifespan to allow for what astrologists call the Saturn return to occur at the ages of about 30 and 60, where Saturn returns to the same place it was when you were born. In alchemy, Saturn is directly associated with lead due to its heaviness and dullness. It is considered the most imperfect metal. This can be likened to the Saturn return, where the planet serves as the arbiter of drastic change and oftentimes painful growth in people's lives. The 27 Club is an example of how difficult a Saturn return can be. It is generally the age that it does begin to be felt. And in 1981, NASA's Voyager probe gave us our first photographs of Saturn, allowing the hexagonal storm at its north pole to be seen for the first time. Remember how the hexagon is the cube? This is where we get to the black cube of Saturn, a symbol of time, restriction, control, growth, limitation, imprisonment, liberation, life, death. Many of the very things that define our three-dimensional existence. The cross is the unfolded cube. If you would unfolds into 6 squares with 4 in a column and 2 on its side in the shape of a cross. This adds a deeper layer of the meaning to the symbol of Jesus on the cross. Jesus' teachings, when reframed through a gnostic lens, speak of a way out of the confines of this material reality, a way back to our innate divine nature. Jesus, having gone through the unthinkable torture, displaying his broken and bleeding body on the unfolded cube, then becomes a powerful symbol for what could happen when someone finds a way out of the cube's metaphorical imprisonment and proceeds the way to other people. Now, this gives us some insight on when certain groups might use the symbol as one of control in an attempt to dissuade someone from looking for deeper answers, to control you to follow an established doctrine where all the answers are laid out for you, outsourcing your connection to the divine and placing it in someone speaking from behind an altar who must be superior to you in some spiritual hierarchy. It is a reminder of your humble place in the world as a mortal, material, fragile being of flesh and blood, and of your rightful and proper placement in the lower tiers of that spiritual hierarchy, because that's where we're supposed to be, right? The cube points to a dark truth about our reality, that there is more than just outside the confines of our three-dimensional awareness, that this world is painful and restricting in a vaguely unnatural way. Even our homes are made up of square rooms, and cities are aligned on square grids. All of this points to a reality designed to keep us thinking inside of the box, but we are capable of escaping this imprisonment. Saturn is also capable of offering liberation to those who can withstand its trials. Like Jesus on the cross, displaying himself on the unfolded cube, his teaching speaking a way out from within. It should come as no surprise that the symbol of Saturn's cube is used by shadowy cults and secret societies from around the globe, each of them grasping for control. In short, the black cube of Saturn is one of the most important symbols of the Matrix, but the planet Saturn has another unique feature that we haven't discussed yet: its rings. The circle represents a symbol of wholeness, perfection, and completion. It appears in the Ouroboros, the symbol of the snake eating its own tail, representing the nature cycle. The rings of Saturn are made up of 7 smaller rings of the rainbow, which appear as perfect circles when viewed from above. This shows us how humans are bound by the material, yet in touch with the infinite. It is no coincidence that the human body depicted in Man, touching the edges of the circle with his arms and legs outstretched, would form the shape of a pentagram. Most associate the pentagram with evil, calling it demonic and satanic, a symbol used by devil worshippers. But this is nothing more than programming by the same groups who use the cross for control. Also, I'm not reading that big paragraph. You can do it. All I know is that it's by some art by Leonardo da Vinci. The pentagram is a symbol tracing back to ancient Sumeria. It represents the 5 elements: earth, fire, water, air, and spirit. It is a symbol of protection, health, well-being, and unity with nature. It also reflects the 5 wounds of Christ, which, if you don't know, it's both of his hands and feet representing the air, fire, earth, and water. The stabbing in his side, a metaphor, a representation for the spirit leaving the body, as water and blood spilled from the wound indicated that he was dead. The lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram is a ritual used in some ceremonial magic, where the archangels Michael, Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel are all evoked by vibrating their names in all 4 directions, while the practitioner draws the name of the shape of the pentagram in the air with a wand or dagger. This ritual, often performed at the beginning and end of a working, is believed to energetically cleanse a space and protect the practitioner from any negative energy. Traditionally, ceremonial magic, such as the described in the sacred magic of Abriolum in the Mage, is essentially a formal ritual of prayer, where practitioners petition God or his angels for blessing, not unlike the one you might do in church. Only this method cuts out the middleman, the pastor or preacher, and gives you the power of talking to God. Again, all of this points to something profoundly powerful. It shows that we ourselves are way out of this matrix. As humans, we can square the circle. But why have we been placed inside a box? Conspiracy theorists point to secret societies like the Freemasons or Illuminati. These groups, while we're and powerful, are mere pawns of something far greater, far older, that wants to keep us boxed in. This is a tweet from Global Insight Journal about Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Iran has declared war by burning the demonic statue of Baal, that they are watching what is happening. In Numbers 25, the Israelites turned to worship the false god, Baal, a famous god who would show up repeatedly throughout the Old Testament as a tempter for God's people. A plague fell on the Israelites because of God's wrath, and 24,000 people died. This is not a new story. It is neither the first nor last time God's people would seek to be filled by someone or something other than their creator. God's anger burned against his people, the same people he had rescued from Egypt. Even though God offered a way to be free of the plague, the leaders of Israel who worshipped Baal had to be killed. This sacrifice would lead to the salvation of God's people. Ancient Israel, Baal worship was a persistent, reoccurring struggle, representing a direct challenge to the worship of Yahweh. Baal, a Canaanite deity of fertility, rain, and storms, was viewed as a source of material prosperity. Israelites frequently adopted these local cults, causing intense conflict between the worship of Baalism and Yahweh. The conflict was that Baal worship was a problem that frequently led to spiritual, moral, and social degradation, characterized in the Bible as spiritual adultery or betrayal of God. As Israel was an agricultural society, Israelites were tempted to worship Baal to ensure fertilized crops. Circling back to the black cube, the Kaaba in Mecca, and the crescent moon is Saturn. The North Pole of Saturn is the hexagon. The 2D cube is the hexagon and the Star of David. The cross that Jesus laid on unfolds into a cube. The Greek symbol for Saturn, cross with a sickle. The tefillin is a black cube for Jewish prayer. I hope I didn't say any of this wrong. Saturday is named after Saturn, the sixth planet. It is the sixth day of the week, and it has a six-sided polygon on its north pole. 666, which I believe is the devil's number. It is represented by a hexagram, cube, or six-sided star. The 7 planets were the 7 old gods of Babylonians: Shama, the sun; Sin, the moon; Nebo, Mercury; Qatar, Venus; Nergal, Mars; Marduk, Jupiter; and Ea, Saturn. They had other names as gods in nearly every Oriental country. To the Hebrews, they were the archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Samael, Uriel, Amiel, Zadkiel. To the early Christians, they were the angels of the 7 churches. They were represented among the Jews, Babylonians, Egyptians, and Persians by 7 branch candlesticks, which in modern times is now the Jewish menorah. Now, going back into secret societies, does anybody remember watching Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut? Now it's depicted as a sexy thriller, but it's really supposed to be a look into conspiracy theorism and Illuminati and Freemasonry. They had cut out about 30 to 40 minutes of Stanley Kubrick's original screening. He had actually died a few months before the movie was supposed to air in theaters. He had randomly died of a heart attack at the age of 70, just a week after presenting the final screening of the movie to executive producers. People actually debate on whether or not the movie had been altered after his death. The film portrays a dark underworld where money and sexual desire intersect amongst the powerful elite, serving as a dark reflection of real-world exploitation. Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, which Jeffrey Epstein is a whole other thing I have to get into because he's not even the real main guy. I mean, he was able to get caught. The people that actually control the world and that have designed all these systems, we don't even know what they look like. We don't know their names. We don't know where they live. We don't know, how old they are. We really don't know much about them. I mean, we are uncovering Hollywood pedophiles and even people that aren't even Hollywood, people that are just known to be famous and to be photographers and producers and make music, not even just in Hollywood and all over the world. I think that the title of the movie, Eyes Wide Shut, is a great, title, because of the millions of people that know what's going on and either are too scared, they're bought, hush money, they, are victims themselves, they participate in it, or they just don't care. They're used to it, and it's happened before to them. There are secret societies who buy, sell, and trade children and sit there and, keep kids in trucks and cages. And I think that there's plenty of people in underground tunnels, or in planes or cargo ships. You know how many people that you can fit in a cargo ship? Like in a cargo, like a storage box? That is an insane amount. Again, all of these, images are off of Reddit, and I still cannot believe that the movie was labeled as like a sexy thriller and as like a little tease into some secret society that it doesn't exist, what the movie was trying to tell. And I cannot believe that they cut out about half an hour of scene because they were too suspicious and they were too, it was labeled offensive, to journalists, but we all know we didn't want the real secret to get out. And there was always some jumpy scenes. I actually have watched the movie, and I'm sure that Stanley Kubrick intended for them to have more of an insight, like an actual insight, not just teasing the thought. This is my official conclusion of my first video by Unblurred Theories. I haven't exactly unblurred anything, but I am a conspiracy theorist. So if you want me to do anything else, which I have ideas and I have plans, please let me know down below. Goodbye.